We believe the purpose of owning a business is funding your perfect life. Welcome to the next generation of growth and opportunity in the inspection industry. This is the Empire State of Mind. Empire State of Mind. Helping build companies with faster growth, higher profits, and more time freedom. Finally, a podcast for the home inspection industry and beyond. This is the Empire State of Mind. And this is your host, Matt Williams.
Welcome to the Empire State of Mind. On today's episode, we're talking to the FBI. I can't believe we have the FBI live right here with us in the studio. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing outstanding.
Very good.
We're the other guys in blue.
That's right, the other guys in
good
blue.
Guys in blue.
That's funny, yeah. So FBI stands for?
Florida Building Inspection Group.
Well, yeah, I've seen FBI using other acronyms.
That's right.
Yeah, some of them mildly offensive.
That name was already taken and the website was taken, so we had to go with the Florida Building Inspection Group.
That works, Florida Building Inspection
and
Group.
And we're just known around town as the FBI Group.
I love it.
Yeah, we get a lot of mileage out of it.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Absolutely. Do you have like uniforms for the guys that are like police-looking uniforms, or how do you do that?
You know what?
Do you have like a badge?
In the very beginning, I wanted to get rain jackets that had the yellow.
Yes.
But we have an attorney friend, and they're like, that is just way too close. Way too close to the real thing.
What if you're like FBI group?
I know. The neighbors are gonna come out. They're gonna be guys in FBI.
Do you have like blacked out SUVs for your inspection vehicles?
No, but our inspectors do wear glasses. They wear that.
Earpieces.
We just want to flirt with being funny about being the FBI group, but not too close where the real ones are gonna be knocking on our door.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
you don't want to, you have a conflict of interest. I mean, as long as you guys aren't trying to arrest people.
That's true.
And they're not trying to inspect houses, you're probably good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, so our audience may not know who you guys are. So Tom, why don't you say just a little bit about yourself? Who are you, and what is this FBI group?
Yeah, the FBI group. Well, we're based out of Tampa, Florida. We've been doing it almost 14 years now, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty close.
By trade or by school, I'm actually a mechanical engineer by schooling.
Okay.
Got into construction at some point in my career. I'm a licensed general contractor. So I was building houses and building light commercial buildings, and somehow got exposed to the home inspection business through realtors who were friends, and started doing home inspections as a favor to some of my realtor friends. It wasn't fun. It was actually a pain in the butt, but one inspection turned into one a week, turned into two a week.
Turned into two a day?
Yeah, and then, 1 week, within 3 hours, I made my truck payment. I'm like, ooh, the light bulb just went off, right?
Yeah.
And in construction, anybody's in construction knows you actually got to bid the work, you got to buy the material, you got to pay the labor. Yeah. You got to get the work in place, and then you got to hope you get paid in 30 days, which turns into 45, which turns into 60. So it's cash intensive.
Construction, you're floating money in. You're floating money in for these projects to get it all done. And sure, you can make some good money, but golly, there's a lot of float that's happening.
Yeah, and I always laugh, the busier I was in construction, the broker I was, because I owed materials, labor,
right.
But, and then in 3 inspections, I made, they paid me right at the end. I'm like,
yeah, that's one thing I love about the inspection industry is that you get paid on the spot for the services you're providing on the spot. Yeah.
Right, and then after we got established and got some procedures and things in place, people were paying us before I even got to the job site. So
isn't that a nice thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the light bulb went on. It was like, ooh, this is much better on my pocketbook, and
I would say
doing heavy construction.
I would say most of our inspections are getting paid ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because once you get your systems processes, merchant accounts, and you make it really easy for you to pay, they'll sign your contracts online and even pay you online, and things are signed and paid before any of the guys even show up some days. And if they aren't paid, they have to be signed, the contracts. Right. If they aren't paid, their reports behind a paywall, and so they don't get the product until they pay.
It's a blessing. It's
It's
unless you've been on the other side of the tracks where you got to wait for your money. It's so nice.
Well, yeah, I was an electrical contractor for a long time.
Okay.
And so I understand that. I get it, how you're like, you got to build a supply house for all the electrician stuff you've been picking up there. And like, you get net 30 at the supply house for your materials, but then it's like, man, you got to get that job done and then you finish it up. Well, then you got net 30 on your side as well. So
if you're working for a general contractor, you gotta hope
you might even make that, and they're going to slow pay you because they're getting paid. And so, like all the slow pay just like rolls downhill, and depending where you're at in that slosh of whatever, like, you could be overextended, and then you feel poor even though you got so many accounts receivables and payables going. But and at the end of the year, you're like, well, I actually did okay, but man, sometimes you're like, you get stuck in the middle of that with the cash flow game. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I looked wealthy on paper. Only on paper. You looked at my
you actually count
my payables were huge, receivables were, it's just I just felt like I was money laundering when I was doing construction.
That's
get a paycheck in and it goes right back out to pay labor and materials and materials and labor for the next job. So
that's funny. That's funny. Well, we're also here with Dusty. Dusty,
Hi.
How are you doing? How long have you been with the FBI Group?
Since 2015.
Okay.
We're almost going on 10 years.
Wow. What do you do with the FBI Group?
So I'm VP of Strategic Partnerships or Marketing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got marketing and growth kind of stuff, activities, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. So offline we were talking, and one of the things you guys said was like one of your things that you've really helped your company grow is your customer service. Mm-hmm. And so talk to me about that. What do you guys do for customer service what's that journey look like for you guys in building that?
Well, I believe we said Raya was the third employee or team member we hired, and she's just a phenomenal person. It's like as soon as you talk to her, you feel like you've known her all your life. Just one of those people got a knack just to relate or just.
She does.
Yeah, she really does. And so when people, a realtor would call in, she was just, the conversation's all about how you doing and just being friends. And oh, by the way, I'd like to book an inspection.
Yeah.
And so from the initial phone call, the customer service is just I think, incredible. All our inspectors were personally trained by me.
Okay.
So, and I believe that I've trained them to think like a general contractor, not just, it's so much more than the 80-hour course that everybody takes online. So I think they're well versed in how to handle people, how to talk to people, what causes issues in houses, and the way we handle the buyer and the buyer's agent. And the report writing, I think, is really incredible too. And we get incredible reviews of people, how we have over 4,000 five-star reviews.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Some of these people write books like how the process was so easy, and we got the report the same day, and so it's really heartfelt. Some of the reviews that we really get. So, but it's a full circle. It takes all of us. Dusty's out there getting the phones to ring, and once they ring, Raya and Debbie and her group answer the phones and take care of the customer, and then inspectors take care of the.
Tie it up in a pretty bow. Tie it up in a pretty bow.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about the IEB community is that whole format. They talk about you have your field services, you have your operations, and then your growth. And if you have all three of those pieces working together, then man, you can create a really smooth system.
Bingo! But they all have to be working. You can't have a great front end and shitty inspectors,
right?
Or shitty marketing, or once they all click, it's fun.
It is fun, yeah.
It's fun.
It's got it once it clicks, right? Once you get the right people running the right things, right?
Right, saying the right things.
You got Dusty running growth department. You have what was the gal that was on your operations?
Debbie.
And she run the whole operations department now.
Yeah, she's our manager right now. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, are you running the field services, or do you have somebody else running that now?
We have somebody else actually.
Yeah. That works. So now you're at the top, and then you have.
What was the 3 things we learned today? I'm supposed to.
Clear vision.
CEOs only does 3 things:
execute, manage people,
I gotta
and
work
no
on
finances.
Yeah.
No, it is finances. But
yeah.
I got to narrow it down to 3 things. That's what we learned today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that one thing that we've been very, very blessed with, as you can clearly hear, is the right people actually come to us. Our people bring in new people. So when it comes to finding good people to work for us, we have mirrored our best people, and then they go out and they find our next recruits. And we
So
have
when you guys
been-
looking for people, you just ask your existing staff, who do you know?
It is. And it's
Yeah.
been very successful for us. And they bring in people just like them. And so we have quite a success story on that
Yeah,
level.
we've got some realtors or
Oh,
they're my daughter. Well, I was looking for a job. She'd be a good fit, and they just and we've had Erica's an example of
there,
that, and
Half of-
Diego.
Yeah.
His father-in-law is a realtor,
Okay.
and of all the inspection companies that he could have recommended Diego go talk to, he's like, you know, your first stop is the FBI group.
Yeah, that's quite an honor when you have everybody like realtors referring their people to come talk to you. Yeah.
They're seeing the differences between all the other inspection companies in the area.
Yeah, one of my best inspectors came from a realtor recommendation.
See?
Yeah, fantastic guy, and I wouldn't have found him any other way for sure.
Bingo.
But Rudy is his name, and he's just an incredible inspector on our team. Love having him, and he's got some leadership skills in him too. So he's somebody that the other guys look to just naturally he's just kind of those natural born leader guys, and so he's been an incredible addition to the team.
See, that's good to hear,
Yeah.
because that realtor could have referred him to anybody, but
Right.
he sent him your way, so
Yeah.
that says a lot in my book anyways.
Yeah, it does. It does say a lot when people are willing to trust you. I mean, as a business owner, like you have these employees working for you. These people have decided to hitch their wagon to your horse,
Right.
and so they've decided, like as an employee, they've decided, you know what, I'm gonna trust you to help provide for my family, you know, and so I want to have a work environment that is healthy and happy, and to where you work is a big deal.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you make enough money to provide for your family, but even beyond that, if you hate where you work, you want to be a place you love where you work, and so I think where you work is a big deal, and people deciding they want to work for you, and if they're working for you and enjoying their job, I think that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been blessed.
yeah, absolutely.
Hey, how am I doing? Because I don't know if I told you, but I've never been on a podcast before.
Oh, okay.
I've never
His
even-
first
I've never-
question was, "What is a podcast?"
I've never listened to a podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, you're doing all right. You're doing all right. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So that's
I
funny.
was a little worried.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
No,
You're
yeah,
getting it.
I gotta
Yeah.
get myself into the 90s here.
That's right. Yeah, catch up. Yeah, you're doing pretty good. Yeah, it's just like it's kind of funny. So podcasts are one of those things like where our audience typically is listening by themselves. Like I know that if you're watching or listening, you're probably watching or listening by yourself, either at your computer or you're at the gym or you're doing something like that, right? And so people are watching, listening by themselves. We're just having a conversation. So it's kind of weird. It's like a lot of individual people, and so normally it's like we're just have a great conversation and kind of talk about what's going on in your business, and there's a lot of stuff people can learn from you and learn from you guys and your company, and so we talk about it. People are listening and people are getting an insight, but really, it should just feel like us having a fairly normal
It
conversation.
is. I'm a podcast virgin. So,
Yeah, right. There we go.
If I looked
Not
around.
anymore. Not anymore. You're not. You just got podcasted. How does it feel?
Feels good. Is it over yet?
That's as good for you as it was for me. That's right. Oh my gosh. So the customer service is good, and I know, like you said, like you do a lot of training. You trained all the guys that you have working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still do all the training for all the inspectors?
I do not.
Okay.
It's been about 2 years now. I've got some really key people now that I trained way back in when, and they mirrored what I did in the training. And quite frankly, the training program we have now is probably better.
What?
Yeah. They've improved, taken what I've done in the basics and improved upon it.
Yeah.
And I think the training program's even better than it's ever been. So.
See, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like when you're able to like hand the keys of certain parts of your business off to somebody and they go and run with it and they
Right.
improve it. That's always then they get better than you. Then you're like, man, I know I have the right people doing the right things here.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got, there's checks, with progress checks in place with the new guys that come on. We set up milestones and things for them to hit, and we really have a well-written protocol for training now and a training manual. And
Wow. So what is it? How long does it take if you have someone totally green to the time they come on? You're like, all right, you're going to start working here till the time they're out on their own. How long does that process take for you guys?
minimum 3 months, would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely between 3 and 6 months, depending on the aptitude for the job, right?
Right.
Because if they're getting it and doing extremely well, we pay for their training, you know, and then they do ride-alongs, half days in class, half days in the field. So if they're getting it, they can be through in about 3-4 months. If they're somebody who's struggling, it usually will take us about 6 months.
Yeah, and is there a point where you like call it and you're like, yeah, this isn't working, you aren't picking it up fast enough?
That's only happened once in
Okay.
our history.
Ponytail.
Yeah, that I had to just say he's just not getting it. But you know,
Yeah.
we're all learning the hiring better, and,
Mhm.
and through the various coaching programs we've been in. Was RSTM?
TMM.
That
That's here, yep.
Here,
Yeah,
and there was
recruit, select, train, motivate, and
right,
there's 2 M's, right?
Is it managed?
Manage. Yeah, there we go.
and then there was Acumax.
Yeah,
Acumax.
that was the other one. We
That
couldn't
was really
figure that
good.
out
That's a
today.
good one. That's a good
Yeah.
personality test, like
Right,
that
so
system,
and
yeah.
just being around everybody in IEB, and we've learned how to hire much better.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we were always recruiting, we're always looking for help.
yeah.
And we've had like seasoned inspectors come to us from other companies wanting to jump from another local business to ours, and we put them through those programs, and we're like, man, it just doesn't fit. It's not a good fit.
Right.
So we've gotten a lot better at hiring.
Yeah, well,
I guess that's the moral.
absolutely
That's
gotten a
the
lot
moral
better.
to the story.
You-
A
when
lot
you-
better at hiring.
Yeah, and when you say that, it lets me know that you've learned through some bad hires.
Yes.
Oh yes, we've had those too.
Yeah, I've had a
Come
couple
on,
of those
there
too.
isn't a business out there that hasn't had a bad hire.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. I've actually and I've owned several businesses in my life, but and I learned some hard lessons on other businesses that I was able to apply to this one. So I've been pretty fortunate here. I've only had one person I've had to let go. Where we were at, and that's because he was drinking on the job. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that doesn't work.
Yeah, that
well
doesn't
with
work.
ladders
yeah.
and
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. So
It's
yeah.
still no fun either way. Even
Yeah.
if it's still no fun.
Oh, it's no fun letting somebody go, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So you got some good team, good training, good customer service, and one thing you guys mentioned is it's an FBI group. What is a group? Like you have other things going on? Like what's happening?
Well, yeah, a group is yes. We have several ancillary complementary businesses, I guess you call them.
Okay.
So, you know, in addition to just the home inspections, I mean, we have. There's several of us in Florida. You have to be a state certified mold assessor to do mold testing,
Okay.
and we write protocols for mold remediation companies. So we have small environmental. You know, we do the mold testing, lead testing. And
radon.
testing, so it's some environmental inspections we do, and we want to talk about home watch.
We're huge on commercial, so
Yeah,
we also are a
commercial
commercial home inspection commercial inspection company.
Okay, you do commercial
Yeah.
buildings. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
That-
good.
that was,
Yeah, we do some of that too.
With
Yeah.
my background, that just came easy for us,
Yeah.
and we do quite a bit of property condition assessments. You know,
It's a little different. than
they're
home
inspections.
inspection.
You know, home inspections for commercial buildings.
Yeah,
but
it's a little different.
they're different. But,
Yeah, we do the same. Yeah, we do those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Just-
they're looking for different things.
Yeah, and equipment on some of these buildings they're
Oh,
different. They're not just furnaces. You know, there's chillers. There's obviously big rooftop or monster air handling. So
Monster hair handlers up there sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a whole other skill set that I'm not sure they teach at some of the local schools or not. But
No, they really don't. Yeah. But I don't know. Like when we started getting into commercial, you know, I had some good advice from some people, and
Yeah.
so we started getting into commercial. It was like, all right, well, if there's systems in this property that you maybe aren't familiar with, so we did this one industrial property, had huge industrial cranes, which means they had to have massive amounts of power to come into this property, and stuff that I just knew like this is beyond what we normally see. So I called a friend of mine who does industrial electric. He's an electrical
Perfect.
licensed guy, and said, "Hey, will you come help us on this one?" So I subcontracted this guy and brought him in on the team for that one job because I knew that So in that process,
Yeah.
though, I basically myself and my lead inspector, we basically shadowed him during that inspection, where my other guys were working on other things. And so basically we paid him. He kind of trained us on some things. Hey man, tell us this, tell us that. And so he totally did it. And so we actually hired him a couple times on bigger electrical jobs. Same thing with an HVAC. We have a couple of HVAC guys that we bring in. We had one building. It was a 200,000 square foot building, and huge monster air handlers on the roof. It's like with the big condensers on the ground. It's a huge system, massive. And it was one of those deals where it's like, this isn't your typical rooftop unit. This is a big operation here that's going on. And so so we hired that guy to come in.
You don't want to steer somebody wrong. And then
no, you don't. You don't steer somebody wrong in that.
Even a $250,000 switch panel or switch gear or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're bringing the experts, and so I just learned, like, I'm paying these guys to come in as subcontract, but I'm really paying them to train us on how to inspect these types of systems. You get them in there a couple of times, and all pretty soon it's like, well, we've had enough experience. We don't really.
We mark up their price, put it in our package, and take their. So
that's what. Yeah.
And I forgot to mention on our commercials, we last year or two we got into doing phase 1 inspection, the phase 1 environmental.
How's that going for you guys?
Really well.
Okay.
They're fascinating reports. And we hire out the historical research to a third party, because I don't even know where they find these information from. They go back 30 years.
Right.
And they have aerial photographs and stuff from way back. And
wow.
It's really a fascinating report. But so that's something that separates us as well, I think, in the commercial world.
Yeah.
We can do the inspection, commercial building inspection, and phase 1. And usually they got to run around and find one or the other. So
that's pretty good. I can imagine that, like, your phase 1 stuff would feed into more property condition reports, and then or assessments, and then also your PCAs would then feed back into more. That seems like a symbiotic thing.
It is.
It is.
And well, the realtors are like, oh, we didn't know. Once they find out we do both, it's one phone call and they get them both done. And so it's taking
and that helps a lot, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we have 2 other businesses under the.
What else you got in your group?
So we launched 2 years ago Home Watch. So we live in the state of Florida. We have a lot of snowbirds who live here. We have a lot of military that live here, and sometimes they have to leave the home for an extended period of time. We can come in weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and make site visits. There's a client-facing portal that will give you pictures and updates of everything that we did in the visit, and it's just a very easy process. If someone listed their house and they're deployed or they had to move for a job, we can go in and oversee the property until the house sells. So there's a couple of different uses for Home Watch.
So it kind of prevents, or at least reduces the risk of squatters.
Correct.
Right. And then also if it's like, hey, we have documented evidence that there was no leak here, there's a pipe that burst, for like insurance purposes or anything else, you're like, we know it happened between these 2 times.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's a really good thing because the squatters have really just increased.
I imagine in Florida and Tampa too, like the snowbird situation, there's probably a lot of houses that are vacant and people only there half the year. I mean, that's going to happen here. Probably in Phoenix, Arizona will be another one. That's a pretty popular place to have that as well.
Yeah.
You always hear the horror stories on the news too, that squatters have more rights than sometimes than the people who own the houses. Once they get in, wild? And then you can't get them out. You have to go through a full eviction process to get.
Hillsborough County just passed a law; they do not have to do that anymore.
Nice.
Oh, that's so good.
Grab them by the back of the neck and throw them out there.
Exactly. It is wild how the laws have protected they almost catered and protected to people who are breaking the law. And you're like, well, wait a minute, hold on, that's not your house, you didn't pay for it, you just broke in and stayed. Like that's not okay.
But a little part of me does admire the audacity of these people to break into somebody's house
and just call it their own,
claim it as their own.
Absolutely.
You can't kick me out unless you get a lawyer. I'm like, wow, that takes up.
It does.
Isn't that
it
wild?
does. It's a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah. So what else is in your guys' group?
So we also have home services. So we just launched home services in March. And that is if you have a contract on your house You upload an inspection report. It doesn't have to be FBI, but unfortunately, there are other inspection companies out there. Just joking.
Unfortunately, yeah,
But-
lesser. Yeah,
But
right.
you can use anybody's inspection report. You just upload and tell us exactly what you want repaired. We give you back a quote within 24 to 48 hours, and then we manage all of the vendors. So you're not
Okay.
responsible for meeting the plumber out on one day and then the electrician out on one day. So what we were trying to do is give back the agent time, because time's money, and you only have so many hours in a day. And we were getting request after request, like, who do you know that does blah, fill in the
Yep.
blank.
You get that too.
We
Yeah.
decided to fill in the blank, so.
That's fantastic. Okay. The home services. So you guys don't do the work, you just manage the contractors doing the work.
Well,
We have a handyman who
yeah,
actually
we
does.
hired in-house, we's a full-time employee.
Okay.
That does the quoting and stuff, and like the screen repairs, we'll do stuff, we'll do a lot in-house.
Well, yeah,
Get
I
this
mean,
stuff-
Right.
yeah, sometimes there's like a
But-
loose hinge or a handle or.
Right,
Yeah.
the
toilet's loose, just tighten
Needs
it up
a
or whatever.
wall painted
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
yeah,
Little
drywall
stuff.
repair or something, or a door jam rot. But because I'm a licensed general contractor in the state of Florida, I am allowed to hire electricians or
Plumbers.
and HVAC guys that, those need specific licenses. I can mark up their price and go do the work. You have to, so if there is a need for a complete electrical panel, we can quote it
Got it.
and we'll make the arrangement. Just call us, here's our price, done, and we'll take care of hiring the electrical contractor, getting the work in place and do all the invoicing and making sure the project gets done.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we'll hire the professionals when we need to, and we'll do the
Handyman
the
stuff.
handyman, type work. when we
Internal,
need to.
great.
Yeah, internal. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I love that. So the home services group, how long ago did you guys start that?
March
No,
2024. It was right after Mega Marketing. Yeah,
That was-
So-
we launched it at Mega Marketing, and then we actually.
Okay, March 20.
Yeah.
It seems longer than
Yeah.
that for
So
some
just recently.
Just
Yeah.
recently.
How's that going? You guys getting a lot of work out of that? Is it what's the reception on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the agents love it.
Okay.
And there's a high level of trust with us already.
Yeah.
Because doing inspections, and we've been around, and we've been in the area for a number of years, so they just know it's going to be handled. So, just like all the would be nice to be just a little bit busier, but even the home inspections, I wish we were just a little bit busier.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So it's just following the same cycle as home inspections. When we're up, our home services business is up, I think, and it just follows the ebb and flow of the inspection business.
Yeah, well, and we're all bolted onto the real estate market.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's things way outside of our control.
Yeah.
We can't control the interest rates. We can't really control how hot or cold the market is in general. Like we can only the only thing we can really look at is maybe our market share. Like if we're doing 20% of the homes in our market, and if the market's going up, are we still doing 20%? Or if the market's going down, are we still doing 20%? But you can't really control how many houses are going to buy or
You
sell.
cannot, and you cannot control the agents.
Nope, and you can't control the realtors and you can't control the market. There's a lot of factors in our business that you just can't control.
Yep.
And so you got to really focus on the ones you can.
That's
and at least,
right.
yeah, and then, because I hear a lot of guys get frustrated with, this or that. And it's like, well, those are all based on things you can't control. So what can you control and get in there and work on that.
Yeah.
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 That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So the home services group's new. I like that.
Yeah.
That's something I know people have been talking about inside of IEB. I've heard people talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we've talked about it, and we knew it was viable, and it took us a while to find the right person
Okay.
to run it for us.
Yeah.
It just takes time to find the right people.
It always takes time to find the right people. Yeah. So getting that thing started, what are some things that you did right, and what are some things that you wish you'd done differently?
It's so new. I wish we would have found somebody sooner.
And when you say somebody,
Well, I think that looking at where we are right now, I believe that it needs to be two people. Somebody who's managing the day-to-day with the quotes, the calls, the follow-ups, the that type, and then someone going out and doing the handyman type work, and then the subcontractors. I think when we're looking at what's going on right now, I think that position needed to be divided. Right now, we've got one person doing everything.
Got it. Okay.
And he gets behind, and so then we're not hitting our goal on the 24 to 48 hour turnaround.
Okay.
He's on a job, or he can't call somebody back. I think the two need to be separated.
It was manageable.
When we
One
weren't
person
busy.
When we weren't busy, but now we get punched in the face by 2 hurricanes
Right.
Oh,
back to
wow.
back. So the phone's ringing off the hook. He's trying to do as much as he can. He's juggling. all
Yeah.
that. So we're probably it'd be good to hire an assistant
Yeah.
right now, but.
Okay, so you need like an operations person and then like a field services person.
Right.
Kind of like an inspection company.
Yeah.
Where you need those 2 different roles. And those are 2 different people. Like they're normally wired differently.
They are.
You know, an operations person thinks about things one way and a field services guy thinks about the other way
Right.
normally. Yeah, which is like complementary, but you kind of need both people.
Yes.
So, yeah, so you're at the place now where you have so you're kind of like starting this thing up. Just like a home inspection company, when you're starting that up, you have one guy that does everything, like you
Right.
do
That's
everything.
right.
And then as it grows, and you're like, shoot, I need to hire somebody to do operations.
There you go.
And so yeah, I think it sounds like you're kind of in that same boat of going from a 1 person, now you're going to go to 2, and then pretty soon
Yeah.
3 and 4 and 5, and yeah.
We were fortunate. We had the front end office in place. We just added a phone line to our existing phone system, so the girls
Right.
know it's a home services call coming in.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about answering the phones and booking the work. All that stuff was already in place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we expect big things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting. I'm interested to see how that scales and goes for you guys, and yeah.
So are we.
Yeah, that is really exciting. I know that I've heard a lot of people talk about that. I know at times I've even talked about what it looked like to start something like that.
It makes sense because, like Dusty had mentioned, every home inspection has something that needs to be usually worked. And
Right, there's no perfect house.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't
either
exist.
on site or afterwards, they always call back. Who do you know
Yep.
that can fix that outlet? Who do you know? And it's just,
Yep.
hey,
I know us.
Yeah,
And this other company.
it's some added service, some added value we can.
So inside your FBI group, is it a different company that is actually the?
It's a separate entity.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And is it called FBI Services, or what do you guys
Close.
call it?
It's FBI Home Services.
Home
Home
Services.
Services.
Okay.
You almost had it.
Almost. Yeah. FBI Home
And
Services.
it's
All right.
FBI Home Watch, FBI Home Services.
Yeah, so FBI group has inspections, home watch, and home services.
I love it.
Yeah.
See the theme we got going there?
I know, yeah, you got a theme. I still think you should get the jackets with the big yellow
I do
FBI on
too.
the back. And I think you should have blacked out SUVs. I think you should have blacked out SUVs for all of your vehicles,
I'm just-
like pulling up in Tahoes and stuff.
Listen, they already come out of the house when a car comes into the neighborhood that has has FBI logo on the hood,
Uh-huh.
right? People come out to see why is the FBI in the neighborhood.
That is so awesome.
We had inspectors stuck up on a roof because there were like 5 or 6 guys who came out and surrounded the car.
Yeah.
They wouldn't come down.
Not so desirable neighborhood.
And that was during 2020 when everything was a little crazy,
Wow.
right? People don't read.
Yeah.
They don't read. They see FBI and they're thinking, what's the FBI doing in the
That
neighborhood?
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what a great marketing though, because they all know now who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
The object is to keep the real ones from showing up at our door.
Right, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they'd say like there's no bad news, right? There's no bad marketing. Like if you're in the news, then yeah, right. I mean, I know they say there's no bad news, but I don't know. You could ask P Diddy right now. I think he's got some bad
Yeah,
news.
he's
got
That's what
some
I'm
bad
saying. Yeah, but
The real guys
Yeah.
with the yellow.
yeah,
blue
but
and
you
yellow
got like
jackets.
if your business is getting some news and some exposure through something like that, I think that's pretty cool. I actually was been torn to this idea about buying a bunch of hearses because hearses has the fleet vehicles, because you think about it, like they're like they're like what Cadillacs, Mercedes, are really nice luxury vehicles. So the guys get to ride around it in like a comfortable interior. You know, the back end of that thing is huge. Tools and stuff. You go in the slide out trays in there, with like an organizer in it. You know, and like so you have an organizer with all your tools and things can slide in and slide out.
That's
and if you wrap it with like all the crazy colors, you know, like Ghostbusters, right? They had like the hearse that they basically use as their vehicle, right? So you get a hearse and you line the whole thing up, and then like you could like I was thinking about like down in the corner being like home of the deal killer and have, like tally marks, you know, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like some tally marks scratched on it, you know, just a little nod to the industry of like, yeah, you know, and then, wouldn't that be funny? Just like you wrap it up and then down in the corner, you know, deals killed or something like that. And it's like, you can make that like haunted house kind of a font, you know, with like scratch marks, like somebody scratched into the side of the vehicles with the deals killed.
You should do that. You should actually have someone do that graphics wise.
Right? Wouldn't that be funny? And so I've been talking about this for a while, and I was like, I want to do that and replace my whole vehicle. Plus, used hearses are so cheap because nobody wants to buy them. Like, who's going to buy a used hearse? Like, the funeral homes always replace them with newer ones, so you can get one. They don't have a lot of miles on them. Right. You know, I was like, man, this is like win-win-win. You can buy one for like 10 grand instead of like, you know, 30 for these vans or 40 for these vans. And I was like, man, I could save some money. And then everywhere people are driving around like hearses, I was like, oh man, I got to do this. So it might still happen. I'm not really sure. We've talked about it in-house a few times.
That'll put you on the map for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think so, right? I think it would definitely, like people, well, in my market, there was nobody running fleets. Like everybody, they had the inspectors and vehicles. They didn't have like a unified fleet with wrapped up vehicles, which was a little, like I was kind of surprised. I guess my market was highly like solo guys, just lots of solo, maybe 1 or 2 people, but nothing like really like organized. And so when I showed up and started doing it that way, it already makes a name. People already say, I see your vehicles everywhere, I see your vans everywhere. But I know if I made a statement out of like the hearse, I mean, come on, right? Come on.
Even if you did a couple of them, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking is like, well, one of them's getting a little long in the tooth, right? One of the vans is, and so it's like about time to replace it. So I'm thinking about like, what would it look like to maybe turn it into to get at least one hearse and like try that and see what kind of noise it makes. Yeah, and to see like with the slide out tray and all the tools in the back, and then does the employee like it too? Like does the inspector like it? You know, of course the fuel mileage on that's going to be terrible.
Matthew, you're going to do it.
That's right.
Buy the hearse. Go ahead and wrap it out.
Okay. But the gas mileage on those is probably not going to be great. But you know, I don't know. I got to at least get one, right? Make it my marketing vehicle. Like
that might not be a bad idea.
Just roll up to I was either going to do that or I was going to do one of those H1 Hummers, the old military Hummers, and wrap that whole thing in a giant like inspection load, something like just what stands out. You know?
I like the hearse. Yeah, you got to go for the hearse.
The hearse. We're gonna get a hearse. That's what we're gonna do.
The Hummer and gas mileage. I don't.
That won't do you well.
No, the gas mileage won't. But if I just had one, I pulled it up to all the different events. You know, like you could put all because we have like those tents and all the marketing swag. But you pull up and with that thing, and it's like people are gonna know you're there.
Yep,
yeah, they're not gonna miss you.
No, you know what? I think I'm gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy one hearse and make it my marketing vehicle.
I think you should.
We're worried about when we pull up with the FBI truck and you're gonna pull up like, who died?
Yeah, exactly. This house deal's about to die.
John Smith died.
Nobody's died yet. But when I'm done with this house, the realtor's gonna kill me.
Too funny.
Huh.
That's
very cool.
I love the FBI van thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
How long you been in IEB?
So I started with IEB. I started my company 5 years ago, and then I joined IEB about less than a year into it. So I ran into the IEB stuff. It was Dirk was part of it, Dirk and Greg Bryan, and so it was. I did there was an online video course, and I think we still offer it to this day or something like that. They've changed it up a little bit, but the first online video course, it was like just one flat fee. You could buy the course, and it was Dirk talking about mission, vision, values, and it was all of those things. And so I just started implementing everything that I could from that video course. And so I did that, and then the company was taken off, and then I was like, okay, I need something more. And that's when I realized, IEB has this whole other side that I didn't even know was there because I just wasn't that aware. And so, so really since the beginning of my company, IEB's been a pretty active part of it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and so my company took off. I mean, my second year in business, we did $1 million in our second year, and it just took off like a rocket ship, you know. And so, which I know is like I didn't know that. I didn't know what I didn't know, you know, right? And so I had no idea that wasn't normal, you know. That like I just
you hear some of the stories. Even Greg's story is crazy. How all those years as a solo guy.
Yeah.
He died 5 times over before he decided to get help.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so anyhow, it's been a fun journey for me on the inspection side of it. I'm more of a sales guy than an inspector. Like when you really kind of look at it, like my temperament and kind of how I'm wired and stuff. So I'm just grateful to have amazing people around me. I have an amazing team of people that are so smart. I mean, my lead inspector is a way better inspector than I ever was. He's just incredible. He's a phenomenal leader, and so we have a great leader and a great lead inspector. And then really, I start looking at my rank and file of inspectors, and I think probably all of them are better inspectors than I am.
That's good. It's a good sign.
Yeah.
I think I'm in that boat too.
Yeah.
I probably, I don't know if I could inspect a house now.
I don't know if I could either. If I did, it would take me a while, you know?
Yeah.
Like it would just, I'd be slower and I have people say like, well, I'd love to have you come out and inspect it. And I laugh and I was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, or didn't you start the company, aren't you? And I was like, I haven't inspected a house in a couple of years. I said, I'll be honest, I'd be really rusty. So, you know, I always tell them like, you don't actually want me to do that. Yeah.
I remember those days, trying to get out of the field and people trying to call you back in. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I'll do it, but I'm bringing somebody with, one of my top guys. I'm bringing another guy with me.
I do that too. Yeah. Well, like,
I'll just stand there and like, all right, I'm here, but yeah. These
so
other
what was
guys-
that looking like getting out of the field? Because that's a big turning point, especially when you've been in business for a while. People expect seeing you out there every now and again.
That was hard. It was.
Yeah, how'd you do that? What are some strategies you used?
We would slap Raya's hand, literally. 'Cause we
Operations.
would say,
Yeah,
we would
sure.
say, he's out of the field, don't schedule him. And what would she do?
Schedule me. We had a celebration my last day in the field, and they gave me a plaque. We had
Oh,
a
yeah, we
ceremony.
did. Oh,
it was
we
like
did.
July 7th. And then I had to keep taping it over, like the July 7th. You know. They booked me another one. It'd be August, and another year later, I'm still changing the dates on my my retirement plaque.
That is hilarious.
But it got to the point where I just had to put my foot down and say, I'm out. I don't do it.
Yep.
And I have other inspectors who are just as good, if not better, than me.
Yeah.
And I recommend, and we always pointed to this guy has got he's got more requests than I had.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
he's our number one request inspector. I'll put him there. And there was some kicking and screaming. I may have lost one realtor that just had to have me, but if she couldn't have me, she would go to a completely different company. I'm like, it's my company.
Right?
I don't understand your logic. Just because I can't do the inspection.
Yeah.
I got all these qualified other inspectors.
Right. That you
You're
trained.
gonna-
You trained them. Yeah. So
And you're going to flush the FBI group and go with somebody else because I can't do your inspection. I'm just like, makes no sense to me. But
Yep.
that was a one-off. And but after a few inspections with the other inspectors, the people that I was always they're fine.
Yeah.
And they so
I think one of the things that really helped me. So one thing was I was actually here at an IUB event. It was a Unite event. I remember a few years ago now, and they were talking about getting out of the field, and I was like, yeah, I probably need to do that, And so I was like, all right, when I get back, I'm gonna stop. And so I went back and I told everybody, like, hey guys, it's time for me to make this transition. And everybody's like, okay, let's see if we can do it, And I was like, yeah, we're gonna do it. So one of the things that somebody at an event, I don't remember who now, told me, but this is what I ended up doing that helped, is like they would want to schedule me, and I would tell them like, oh man, Matt's really busy, but I can get him on this one, but because he's so busy, he's going to bring another inspector with him, and so that way, it gets done in a timely manner. And so
that's
then
a good idea. They could introduce the other inspector.
well, and introduce the other inspector, and then what I did was the first inspector would get there before me on purpose. I would show up 10 minutes late. So the inspector did the first, and they'd be like, hey, Matt's on his way, don't worry, he'll be here, but let me go ahead and get this thing started so we're not just waiting around. And so they get them going and get them started. And I would pull up, I'd get out of my truck, I'd be wearing a suit jacket and a tie and slacks and dress shoes. A very clear signal, I am not getting in your attic, I'm not getting in your roof, crawl space, I'm not getting on your roof, I'm not doing any of that stuff. And so I would come in dressed obvious. That might be the only appointment on my day. Like I would leave the office, but I'm gonna leave the office, I'm gonna show up dressed not an inspector. And I would get there and be like, it's like, all right, how you guys doing? Danny's here, and they'd be like, oh yeah, and it's like, listen, yeah, I know, like I don't really do the, it's like I had business meetings today, and I just tell, it's like, but I'm here to help out, and so that I'm there for a little bit, but then,
Wish I would have thought of that.
You
yeah,
exit.
right.
You exit,
And so I'd stay around. I'd stick around till the end, and then I'd let Danny do the summary, and I'd be like, well, Danny do the whole summary, and I just kind of hang back and watch, and then they get all done. It's like, awesome guys, thank you so much. And so I was like, listen, I got to run. I have another business meeting I got to get to. I said it's hard being the business owner and trying to juggle all these different hats, And so they'd be like, yeah. I was like, listen, I hope you guys whatever. Really nice, really, it's nice to them all and stuff. But then
That was a great idea.
yeah. So then
Yeah.
guess what? Next time they call,
We didn't think of
they
that.
don't they're like, oh, so and I would actually call a realtor too afterwards and be like, hey, I hope Danny did a good job for you. I know that you've been using me, but as a business owner, I have so many different hats to wear. It's just hard for me to change, and they were like, yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. How's Danny? He was great. Listen, I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out. I really don't have the time or bandwidth to keep doing inspections because I have to run the actual company now. And they were that was like whenever I would do that. So I just made sure I dressed suit and tie. Somebody gave me that idea.
I love that.
Yeah, so
we missed that conversation.
I know, right? So if you're listening to this show,
Yeah.
and you're like I'm trying so hard, they keep pulling me back in. I tell you, you show up in a suit and tie, they know. They're not going to even ask you to get in the crawl space or the attic. You have another inspector there with you. Let them show up late on purpose. Yeah, absolutely. And you get your whole team helping you with that, and you'll get you out real fast. Yeah.
We missed that IEB.
We did.
Podcast.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I don't know where I learned. Somebody told me about it, and it wasn't even at an official event or a meeting. It was just a conversation. Somebody gave me that suggestion, and I was like, I'm gonna try that out, and it worked like a charm. And so I still, every once in a while, I'll have some major realtor feeling like they're gonna. Well, I really haven't seen you out in inspections. I haven't done one in years, and so they're like, well, what would it take for me to? He's like, you don't want me to go out there, you don't want me to go do that one. I'm like, well, I was like, you know what? All right, I'll show up at your next one. When's your next one? And then I do the same thing. I make sure suit, tie, dress shoes, the whole works. I dress way nicer for that than anything else I'm gonna do that day. Yeah, and it's a very, very strong statement. You show up 10, 15 minutes late. You show up late on purpose. The other inspector already has the momentum and the people. I'm telling you that did it.
Next time.
Remember we had one realtor only dealt with president or owners of company.
Yes.
I wonder if he still does business with us. I'm not going to say his name because.
Yeah. We're not going to do that.
I was curious. He was like adamant it was me or nobody, and.
Yeah, but and people like that. It's like, well, there's. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what motivates them to think that they can tell you how to run your business.
Bingo.
It's like I don't know why they think they're that important. I don't really quite understand that. It's like, listen, I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. It's like realtors. They'll build a team. They'll get buyers agents and sellers agents, and they're building a whole team and system. And it's like, listen, I'm not going to tell you how to run your team and your system and your business. Yeah. And it's funny how some people will want to demand how they're I want you to run your business. Well, it's not your business. It's my business. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to see that. I never quite understood how people do that.
I stopped trying to think and stopped trying to.
Yeah, right. You got to take control. Yeah, well, this has been a great conversation, guys. I loved having you here. I'm sure that people probably may have questions or want to get in touch with you. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they want to get in touch with you after this?
Best way is to call the office.
Okay, what's the number?
813-409-3249.
Okay.
Or they can go on the website and schedule it themselves at flbigroup.com.
Okay, and if they want to get a hold of you guys specifically, maybe to follow up on a conversation from this.
Talk to the podcast virgin.
That's right. Talk to the podcast virgin. That's right.
Either call the office and ask for the podcast virgin, or it's Tom at flbigroup.com.
Okay.
Email me, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Oh, that sounds great. We'll get that information in the show notes here.
You want to give out your email?
Or they can call me, 813-415-1043 is my personal number.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds great, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. This has been fantastic.
It's been a lot of fun.
Appreciate
actually.
it.
Yeah, cool. I'm not scared anymore.
You've been listening to Empire State of Mind for the home inspection industry and beyond. Our passion is to elevate the home inspection industry with mindset, strategy, and tools. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. For more, follow on Instagram at IEB Coaching. And don't forget to hit the website at www.iebcoaching.com. Learn about IEB at no cost and have all your questions answered on our open call once a month on the third week of the month. We hope to see you there, and we'll see you next time on the Empire State of Mind.